Hello YouTube, welcome. How are you? How you doing? First Stage here, back for another video. What are you looking at? Well, not me. I am here. You'll see me in a moment. I'm sorry about that. But what you can see is the Role Virtual Tabletop dashboard, or my dashboard. And it's currently keyed into rooms. So you can see a whole series of rooms here where the action happens. I'm a big fan of Role, as you probably know. I'll talk a little bit about Role today, but we're going to talk about Age of Heroes, a role-playing game that has given me the tingles and a little bit of a quandary as well, and we'll talk about that. Now, I'm running this whole escapade from my sort of second-hand laptop that I got, which has got Fedora 38 on it. So I'm running Linux. I've run Linux since about 95. When, well, to be honest, you had to really hack a config file to get a monitor to work, never mind anything else. But these days I can run OBS on it. If there's anything weird going on in terms of sound and hardware and video, it's probably some combination of me running it under Linux, and I'm just trying to work it out. But my goodness, you can run OBS, which is what I'm using to record this. And I do prefer Fedora Linux over Windows if I can manage it. Anyway, let's see how this goes. But that's not the subject of this video. It's about Age of Heroes, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the room, the Age of Heroes room, and I'll talk to you from there. So hang on, stay with me, caller. Let's press play. And it'll load the room. Just doing now. I'm ready to play. I certainly am. Let's connect. Okay, that's not me, by the way. You know, it's like a vision of me, should we say. Let's put my camera on. Prepare to be disappointed. There we are. Hello, I'm here. Right, I'm in Role. This is a Role video cam capture in a room, and we'll talk a bit about Role. So I like Role for all sorts of reasons. Not least because it puts people front and centre. And if there were 6 of us, there'd be 6 of these boxes in your sort of video screen, in your web browser screen. Much as if you're around a table. You know, your main focus of attention around the table is usually the people around the table. So they get that right. And that's why I like to have webcams when I'm running games or playing in games, so I can see the other players. It's got lots of nice tools around the edges as well, around this sort of video conference style centre. I do use 2 video virtual tabletops. Role for virtually everything, and then Foundry. And I use Foundry for some particularly heavy systems or strongly tactical games. I might be tempted to use Foundry. I don't actually kind of want the virtual tabletop to do that much. So, you know, excessive amounts of automation, not really that bothered about, but certainly some to make the gameplay easier, helpful. And Role certainly does have some, and they're developing more over the course of, well, they're continually developing it. I'm going to put a line in the sand. I want to say this time next year, my challenge to Role, I suppose, or to myself, I suppose, is can I actually run anything I want in Role? I hope so. I think they'll get there. Well, I think they'll get there as far as I'm concerned, and it'll have everything I need. So we're gonna sort of see a bit of Role as we talk about Age of Heroes. This room is set up pretty much to run it. We've got an Age of Heroes encounters sheet over here. And some other sheets. Let's load a character sheet for now, because we're going to have a look at Garadrin in a moment. Age of Heroes, but you can see on there that it doesn't say Age of Heroes. It says, well, it says Hjältarnas Tid, or something similar to that. I don't speak Swedish, but it is Swedish. Age of Heroes. We'll come back to Garadrin in a minute. Let me just load an image for you. So I'll go to the image tab and I'll open up an image. Show the party. Well, we're the party right now. You're over there. I'm over here. That's it. Let's show the image. I'm going to disappear to the top left of the screen now as this image gets shared. Let me just increase the size of that. Okay, I'm over here. Hi. This is where the video boxes kind of go to when we're in tactical mode or you're sharing an asset like an image. Well, here's Age of Heroes. And I want to talk to you about that, and I want to challenge you a little bit with it. So I was idly browsing rpg.net, like you do sometimes. And I was in the open forum. And I think it was a Swedish person who had put out a thread saying, you know, is I think Hjältarnas Tid, is that basic role playing perfected? Now I go back to 80. Let me just do that so I can see you again. Hello. Now I go back to the 80s, early 80s. My second ever role playing game was RuneQuest First Edition, white cover. So I discovered Chaosium's basic role playing really early, and I liked it. And for the next couple of decades, that was it. You know, that was the measure that I used for all other role playing games, and I liked the way that it went about things. So I was much more into the simulationism at the time. I liked the fact that every combat was dangerous. I liked the fact that your hit points didn't multiply up through levels. It had a very different design to the sort of D&D level and hit point design. And I liked that too. And I think virtually all role-playing games I saw through the eye of like a Stormbringer framework. And that's kind of how I saw things. So really liked it. So I thought, perfected? Really? They've perfected it? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? And the list of things that the thread author listed were quite attractive. I thought, that's quite nice. Yeah, that's quite nice. That's quite nice. I ought to have a look at this game. So I went over to Helmgast's site and found it. And there it was, including a couple of supplements. Let me just pop this back if I can. There we go. So I found a couple of supplements, and there are some adventures there as well. There is, and sorry, if you speak Swedish, can I just apologise in advance? Let's have a look. Magin's Väv, Web of Magic, and Hjältarnas Väg, Path of the Heroes, Way of the Heroes. So Way of the Heroes is kind of like character options, some more professions, some more abilities or talents, a really nice tidy up of the game. So it's kind of like a little expansion. And the Web of Magic is similar for magic, more spells, more information on traditions and how they sort of handle magic slightly differently, focus, and the other world through which the weave of magic is cast. Altogether, really nice. So I thought, well, it's really nice. I like this. What am I going to do, though? Am I going to leave it there? Because it was in Swedish, and I have to say, it was only in Swedish. So it wasn't translated. Now, I did contact Helmgast and say, are you planning to sort of translate this to English? The game came out about 2015-16, I think, in a box. This is now the revised and updated sort of single book version. And I think quite rightly, Helmgast didn't reply, which I took as a no. So probably not. They've got other fish to fry. So I thought, well, all right, what will I do? What will I do? Now, this conforms, I think, to the KSR movement a little bit. You may be familiar with the OSR, the Old School Renaissance, which, as far as I can tell, is principally about emulating early editions of D&D and the playstyle that came along with that, either through the original books or through clones or through sort of interpreted lenses of new versions of the game that kind of emulate that feel. KSR, classic Swedish roleplay, I feel that this game is in that mould. KSR, I probably haven't got a great definition of KSR. I've had a little look into it, but classic Swedish role play. So influenced by Chaosium. So Drakar och Demoner, Dragons and Demons. Very influential early 80s tabletop role-playing game in Sweden. Derived, at least influenced by the original sort of Worlds of Wonder Magic World booklet of 1982. Quite small, tightly defined, very much BRP, basic role-playing DNA throughout. And this game has that as well. Drakarach Demoner, of course, is now, the license for that is now with Free League, as I understand it, and in fact I backed it, and that's about to come out in a little box set as well. And again, that conforms, I think, to KSR, which would be low page count, simple rules, D100 or D20 equal to or less than skills. Health is modelled on a fairly static number that doesn't increase particularly, maybe a little, but not very much. A game which has no specific setting, or if it does have a setting, it has lots of gaps. It doesn't go crazy on setting detail. It gives you the spaces to fill those gaps. And I would say probably something like low to medium fantasy. You're not going to be challenging the gods themselves probably in these games. But you are going to become a hero. There's no doubt it's heroic, but perhaps just not quite the sort of 1 to 30 levels you get in D&D 4th edition. So I like all that, and I like some of the things that they have done with this game, which we'll come on to. But I reach sort of like a crossroads now. Well, what do I do? So my challenge to you is if you find a game that you are not the native speaker or reader of, I think you still can get to it if you really, really persevere. Now, I say persevere. In the process of about 3 days, I got a translated copy of this to the extent that I felt I could run it, and indeed I will be. We'll talk about a bit more about that as well. I will be your Spielerledare. That's meant to mean game leader. I doubt us the Swedes would be saying, yeah, you just said toilet seat, Graham. Did I? Sorry. Meant to be game leader or game master. I'll be your game master. I'll be your Spielerledare for Hjältarnas Tid. Svart Hund. I'm learning Swedish, but I'm only learning colours and pet names. Terrible. Honestly, learning Swedish is about as useful to me as learning Sindarin. I mean, all the Swedes speak English really well. Better than me, actually. So, other than be able to read Swedish role-playing games, I don't know. I'm showing willing a bit. So what did I do? What did I do with this? And what can you do? Well, it's a PDF. Now, the PDF was about 10 quid, 10 UK pounds or less on the Helmgast site. So I thought, go on, then I'll buy it. I mean, if nothing else, I'll have given Helmgast some money, which is a good thing. Yeah? And if I end up with a PDF that I can't do anything with, well, okay, I'll take the hit. It's only a small hit. What did I do? Well, I translated it using Google Translate, and the way to get round some of the limits on Google Translate is you download the PDF, you open it not in a PDF reader, but you open it in Google Docs, and then from Google Docs you go Tools Translate English or Tools Translate. Pick the language of your choice, and it'll give you a translated copy in Google Docs. Now, I actually had to split the PDF and do it twice and then glue the two docs together because of the size. But it did come out with a translation. So, well, let me first show you the PDF from Helmgast. It's lovely. It's a really lovely game. I'd encourage you to get it, actually. I'm going to do a screen share because I can do that in Role. I haven't used screen share a lot in play, but it's a facility to have. You can share, obviously, you can share things like videos for your players and things like that. It's really cool. I just haven't used it very much, so I'm going to go for a share. Let's see what I get here. Yes, I want to share that. Okay, hopefully you can see that okay. I'm over here, and my image is there as well. This is again, this is kind of how, as I say, this is how video boxes go when you're either sharing or you're in tactical mode. Let me just get to the actual PDF. So it's just very, very pretty, is what I would basically say. But it is very much in Swedish. As I say, it's 137 pages, so it's a nice light game. It does have BRP DNA throughout it, which is a big plus for me. It still works for me. You know, maybe I'm just a bit of an old school KSR kind of person. I think I probably am. Nicely illustrated, black and white. But I, you know, looking at it, I thought, well, I can pick out some words. You know, introduction till roll spell. I think I can probably work that one out. But you know, you go into the detail. I'm probably a little bit lost and floundering. So I did the translation process. So let me come out of this for a moment. Okay. I'm doing all sorts here. It's bits of flying everywhere. I'm going to close this. Leave it back to me. Let me show you the translation. So this is what I got to. This is my translated copy. So I'm going to be taking you now to Google Docs. Okay. So I'm going to just share that. I think you can see what I'm doing. Okay, brilliant. This is my translated copy. Now the translation's pretty good through most of it. There are some, obviously Google Doc is not a PDF reader. So there's going to be, it doesn't resolve the PDF particularly well in places. There's a lovely combat example that runs through the beginning of Hjältarnas Tid, and obviously it breaks it all up. So if it was all like this, it's a failure. But the vast majority of it has come through really, really well. To the extent that I've got something that I can work with. There were some things that come through the translation which are a little confusing. I mean, I'm not criticising too much because look at all this. But, you know, things like marksmanship as a skill came out as Sagittarius. I had to think long and hard about what was going on there. But once you work it out, you're fine. But most of it is clear enough for you to have a good feel for it. So let me just stop sharing this for a moment, if I can. I'm back. Okay, I'm back. I'm just playing around with what I'm doing here. So I ran through a translation. I had some help from Swedes. I had some help from some Swedes online who very kindly gave me a little bit of help. I didn't need a lot, to be fair. I really didn't need a lot, but there's some very nice Swedish people out there who'll help you out. And I know a bit about role-playing games, so I can kind of work out what was meant, even if the translate only took me part way there. So I ended up with a document which I haven't done anything with. I haven't tried to sort out the pagination or sort out the table of content and turn it into a fully translated document. That's not what it's about. I'm not here to do that. I'm here just to try and work out if I can play the game personally. So the other thing that I did was I decided, well, what I'll do is I'll create my own working document, which just takes the very, very high level things that I need to understand to be able to play the game and write it in my own words a bit more, or translate more completely for me. So I got a separate document. Again, this is very, very short. Very short indeed. It's a small number of pages. And just things like the basic rules. So it's a roll equal or under a skill as a success. Rolling over a skill as a failure. If you roll a double and it's under your skill, it's an outstanding success. If you roll a double and it's over your skill, it's a woeful failure. Where, you know, the idea is that something extra good happens if you get an outstanding success. There's an extra complication if you get a woeful failure. In combat, if you get an outstanding success, damage is taken off health and not guard. So I'll show you a character in a moment. Another nice thing the game has, it has a health value and a guard value. Guard as in on guard. But guard kind of means a combination of defense, luck, momentum, energy. I kind of think that it's got a few concepts built into guard. Guard flows back quickly. Health flows back very slowly. And typically, if you're damaged, you take it off guard first, and then you take it off health. So again, it's a nice touch. Something I've always felt that the game needed if it's going to be a slightly more heroic. You're fine with 12 hit points, but actually you are going to go down a lot. And in BRP, that means you need to have healing magic around, or just frankly, just don't fight anything. Or be very, very good with your skills and have good armor. And even then, you're in trouble. You're always potentially in trouble, which again is a plus, not a minus. Anyway, so a document that lists. I translated my own skill names. So I gave my own skill names to make sense of the game. Obviously, taking it from the source text. Weird's a great skill. Weird's a very important skill. Ability to see and understand the supernatural and see how it permeates the world. Very important, particularly for your mages. But there's the supernatural is all around you because the other world is parallel to our world and it's everywhere. So being able to see that, see into that, or see the echoes and repercussions of that other world in our world is a very important skill. Love it. Weird. Weird indeed. A few weapon skills. Now, obviously, it's a BRP game, so there's more skills than just 12 or so, which apparently is the modern conceit for the most skills you should have in a game if it's a skill game. This has got more, but it kind of works. Let me stop sharing. Anyway, there we are. Translated copy. Let's have a look at a character. The first thing I do, about you, when you go and look at a new game, is you look at the character sheet, try and work it out. So I created a character sheet. I'll show you quickly. I've done it as an image as well, actually. The character's over here, of course. Don't forget poor old Garidra. He's been sitting here watching us the whole time, getting bored. Are you getting bored? What are your traits? Honourable, bold, stubborn, and observant. No, I think Garidra can bear listening to me. I think he's all right. He's got the right traits. I'll talk about traits in a minute. Anyway, let's go and look at the character sheet that I've created. So this is actually a Google Doc again. I've just copied this as an image so I can show it to you while I'm here. I'm going to again show the party. So I'm going to disappear again. Bye. And I've drawn on it a few things. I've drawn on it some more actually. Here's a character, and it is actually Garidran, only this is actually, as I say, is a Google Doc. I did it in Google Docs just to have a character sheet that I could write on easily and share it. So it is a skill-based game. So you've got adventurous skills and you've got combat skills. The base chance is, I think, roughly 15. Which you might argue is a bit low. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you there. But the reality is, starting characters, their best thing is usually really, really good. So it's not that you're rubbish. So yes, you will whiff at certain things and not be so good. But I tell you what, the things you're supposed to be good at, you are good at them. And this is a warrior. So his sword skill starts at 80%. 80%. Gosh. So yes, it's a skill-based game. Lots of nice touches to it. As I say, there's that thing about rolling doubles for criticals and fumbles. Again, not new. I mean, there are other games that do that even now. So it might not be the first to have done that, but it's nice to have done that. You've got relationships and traits you can see up here, the topish right. I say you can see that. Let me just do this, and let me just hope you see that a little bit better. I'm not sure. Relationships and traits are either, well, for relationships, perhaps a short phrase, sort of a short bit of text. A trait can be a single word or a small bit of text. The traits are there very much to help you with your role play. It says something about the personality of the character, but they've got boxes, which means you can tick them. And if you use a trait, you can burn a trait, as it were, use it in a session. It does come back next session. That enables you to swap the dice roll around for your percentage dice roll. The units and 10 digits are swapped. So if I go back, if I speed over, let's go to I'll tell you what, let's make Garidran do a skill. Sorry, Garidran, it's been a bit boring for you. How about an endurance skill roll? So I'm going to click on this. Here's our skill roll, and I'm going to make a roll. Let's see what we get. All right, 12, pretty damn good. So it makes the roll. If I'd rolled something like, I don't know, let's say 73, for example, well, that's a failure unless I tick a trait, and I can narratively weave that trait in. That 73 becomes a 37. A 37 is a success. So you've got at least about 8 goes with your relationships and your traits to flip the die. So even though if your skill's low, you can still succeed using that sort of narrative trait currency, which is really, really good. Again, just flipping onto roll for a second. Here's a roll character sheet. Very easy to build. So I'm not a coder, but another feature of roll is the ability for users to build sheets and then share them, of course. And there's a whole community of sheets. You can go on and search for templates and pull them down and edit them and use them for yourself. It's very much a sharing community. This didn't take me very long to build. I'm quite adept at them now. It's drag and drop mostly. Always looking for more controls on the sheets, and also looking for the way that the sheets display. There are things that I'd like to see changed here as well, but to be honest, fantastic, really good. So sheets work really well as well. So we've got characters. What else does the game do? Spells are with traditions. You get magic. Magic is a skill. I think magic is a skill. Magic, there it is. And weird is another important skill. With magic, you roll on your magic skill, typically magic skill, to succeed at casting a spell. If you cast a spell, it has a cost, and that cost is typically something like 1 to 3 dice, d6. The game is d100 and d6. You cast a spell, you pay the cost. The cost accumulates into something called debt. And you just keep accumulating your debt. We've got to be careful, because if your debt becomes higher than your understanding of the other world, your weird skill, then you fall into and become a shade in the other world. You don't want to do that. Believe me, you don't want to do that. It's not easy to get out again. It's like the upside down in Stranger Things. So you don't want to go there, really. So there are ways of you relieving your debt. And different traditions do it in different ways. So that's kind of nice as well. Really well done. Another really nice feature of the game is most skill rolls are challenging. It's a challenging situation, so you roll when it's challenging. You don't just roll because you want to roll. You roll because it's challenging. But if it's particularly difficult or particularly easy, the way the game does it does it on opening and closing a roll. So an open roll is an easier roll, and it's open 1 or 2, up to 5. What that means is that if you roll and you fail, and if it's an open 2 roll, then if the unit digit is a 1 or a 2, you still succeed. So 92 will succeed because it's a 2. If it's open 5, then you've got a really good chance of succeeding regardless of your skill, because the digit die on your percentile roll, if it's 1 to 5, you succeed. As you can imagine, closing a roll, or disadvantage if you like, or however you want to describe it, works the other way. So if you succeed at a roll, but your unit digit is 1 or a 2, if it's a closed 2, you fail. And what's really nice about that is you're not messing around with modifiers. You're not saying, "Oh, I've got I'm at plus 10 on this roll, or I'm plus 25." No, you just do it on the unit digit die, and it's really, really elegant. I haven't done the maths, so I don't know what that means really. It means you've always got a 20% chance of succeeding, or possibly a bit more. Anyway, so there's lots of nice touches to the game. I did mention guard and health. It's another nice piece about it. Weapon damage is D6. Weapon damage explodes on a 6. You can do things like you can spend your trait if you can't find a way of weaving in your trait to flip the die from units and digits, then you can use it to spend it in other ways. And you can do that to do things like gain 2d6 guard back straight away. If you're in mid-fight, bang, you get your guard back, which is useful because that's your defense. A lot of skill rolls are opposed. So an attack and a defense is an opposed roll, which means that you make your attack roll, the defender makes their defense roll, and the one that gets the highest wins. So even if you make your attack roll, you've got to roll higher than the defender's successful defense roll, unless they fail, in which case you're in. So that is a different dynamic again. Again, not new. I think Pendragon does something similar. So but they're all opposed rolls. And again, Pendragon, of course, is Chaosium, KSR. It's kind of all in there. It's all in there. The DNA, it's brilliant. And you've got abilities. You've got the characters have got abilities like kin abilities and what I call them kin abilities, background abilities, and you can learn more of them. And they're like talents, so they give you extra things. Quick attack means you can do more attacks. Nicely done, really nicely done, and 137 pages. It's got that nice BRP feel, slightly heroic, and well thought through. And I think a really good game. Is it perfected? I don't know. If you call it perfected, but it's jolly nice. What am I doing here? I'm gonna try and close this if I can. There we go. I'm back. Now, as you can see, this game is largely set up for play. So is there anything else I can show you? Possibly. Yeah, let's take a quick look at the map. It just, if I go to a game, I go to a character sheet. If I go to a setting, I might want to look at a map. Can't help myself. Hobbit, 9-year-old maps, awesome. Let me show you the map. So this is an example map. Let me just zoom it out a little bit. I'll do. So this again feels right because this is my fantasy world that I was fiddling around with, when I was in my 20s, in the mid 80s, on hex paper with, crayons. And okay, I've just drawn it again in Wonderdraft. Mapping software, it's not too difficult to do. This is a work in progress, but I've got a setting, and I'll probably run the game in Aldland. Aldland, the eastern of the Kalish lands, a land that's been subjugated by the by the Castolian Empire, which is off to the east and is now burgeoning and pushing. And the blood mages of Castol are now knocking on the door of the old Kalish folk, the sort of Midlands of Kalan. And so, in this broken land, old land, our heroes will probably end up going tomb robbing and trying to save points of light of villages that are being oppressed by the sort of Castolian nascent imperium. Yes, trying to emulate the old empire, the old golden empire of old, and not doing such a good job really. But anyway, that's kind of like some setting stuff. So I've got somewhere to sort of play the game, as it were. So I've got quite a lot here. So I translated both the supplements as well, of course. It's the same process. Once I realised I could do it, I've done it, and I have both of those, and they round the game out really, really well. It's a lovely game. I think I'm just impatient to get the box for Dragonbane. So Free League is coming with the sort of modern iteration of Drakarok Demona, which I love. I mean, Dragonbane is currently my family game. So we played several sessions of Dragonbane with my grown-up kids. We love it. We absolutely love that game. This is excellent as well. Perhaps more recognisably BRP. It does things like, I think one of the other things about Hjältarnas Tid is, sorry about the pronunciation, is that they don't have attributes. That the attributes are skills. It's another feature. So strength is a skill which can be improved, and again, improvement works like BRP. You tick skills that you use appropriately in the session. You then roll equal to or greater than that skill to get an increase. You roll 1d6. You increase the skill by 1d6%, and you can learn languages, talents, spells, other things. Using a sort of like a supplementary learning system, and you can increase your guard and your health. Health only increases at the end of an adventure, as does your guard, not the end of a session. And you have to roll equal to or greater than double your health to increase it by 1. So health will gradually increase as you become a little bit more robust and heroic, but it's nothing like a D&D hit point increase, really. I could go on. I could keep going on. And I can clear this dice roll. Dice rolls appear up in your video box, which is quite nice, and they also appear in the chat log as well. My chat log is empty at the moment. I'm keeping it empty because I'm keeping rolls private rather than public. There's not a way to clear chat at the moment, which is something that I think it needs in some kind of clever way. Either from a date range you can clear it, or just wipe it. Not sure which, but at the moment there is no way of doing that. So I'm keeping this room ready for actual use, and this is what I want to talk about next. Finally, I don't want to say something. Okay, Garidrin, it's been lovely. I'm going to get rid of you for a moment. See you, mate. Cheers. Right, so Age of Heroes. Join me. Go to Helmgast. Download it. Translate it to your language of choice. Play the game. Play it with me. So this is what I'm thinking of doing now. Streaming. What do you think about streaming games? I can't watch them. I just can't watch them. There are some exceptions. So I've watched Critical Role, and I have to say they are superb. I mean, there's a reason they're very popular. They're very, very good. They're very entertaining. My daughter's a critter, and it's a particular treat for me to sit down and watch an episode that she hasn't seen yet with her, because it's very, very good. Well, who else? Very few. Glass Cannon Network. You'll have your favourites, of course. Glass Cannon Network, I've watched several of theirs, and they are just so entertaining. I just wish I was them, really, but I'm not. And they're great. So I watched a few of those. There was a very nice sequence for Traveller, which I watched. It was really, really good. And probably a third one I would pick out would be the Dungeon Musing channel. That's much more sitting around a table with your mates, watching the game play. It's kind of warts and all stuff. And sometimes I'm even on that. But on the whole, I struggle with watching them. And it's me. It's not a comment on the people that are doing it. It's very much me. I just can't seem to watch them. I find the static templates that they have quite difficult. So you have like a static template with, 4 or 5 video boxes, and that's it. And you might have another box which sort of rotates some dice rolls or something. But you don't get a sense of play in terms of gameplay. It's basically amateur dramatics for 2.5 hours. And it's often done with a lot of enthusiasm and so on and so forth. But I think for me, unless you are almost professional, I just find them difficult to watch. And that's just me being honest. And it says more about me, I suspect, than anything else. But I still approve of them. I mean, I'm not criticizing people doing them, because I think I can see why people do them. And You may well enjoy them, and in which case, more power to your elbow, to be honest. So, in a moment of hubris, I thought, well, maybe I could do one. They're not going to be any better. I'm not suggesting they're going to be better, by the way. Almost certainly not. What I would like to do is run it in roll. So so there's no static templates. You just get to see roll and get to see the screen moving around, see the dice rolls as they come in, opening up the assets, getting that flow that happens around a table, but in roll. So I can showcase roll a little bit, which I'd like to do because it's such a good VTT. Maybe showcase Age of Heroes. I'm not trying to get Helmgast to translate it, by the way, because I've translated it now. I just want to play it. Record it, edit it. I have to work out how to edit it. I don't know. This is possibly just a creative exercise for me. Down to about an hour. So it's probably about a 2-hour session or 2.5-hour session, but you'll get an hour, and it will show you how the game plays, and it'll be curated in that sense, and then I'll upload it to YouTube. An hour's play. What do you think? I don't know, because I do struggle with watching them. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've got to be honest. I do struggle watching them. I might try and watch some more. With the exceptions that I've mentioned, I do struggle. But I wonder if there's space for another one that is a curated version that's chopped right back and that focuses in on describing the game and showing off the VTT. Let me know what you think. I'm not necessarily convinced or sold on it, but I think it might be an interesting exercise. I might like to do it. Awesome. Right, I'm going to head back actually now to the dashboard and bid you farewell. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've taken you on a bit of a tour there, haven't I? I wasn't intending to, but I've taken you on a bit of a tour, both of Role, of Hjältarnas Tid. Will I be your Spieler? Don't know. Maybe I will. Translations, BRP. Nice game, really nice game. Bit of a setting I'm sat in at the moment, waiting to go. It probably needs to happen, I think, but I'll let you be the judge. So let's go back to where we were, which was the dashboard. I'm kind of going to leave you from here. So these are all the rooms, or all my rooms. Maybe I'll meet you at another time in one of these rooms. Anyway, there you go. Goodbye from Role, and goodbye from my dashboard. And above all, happy gaming. See ya.